Charlene Chan-Muehlbauer of St. Anthony Park near St. Paul, Minnesota, is one of several mothers involved in the local cooperative that takes turns picking up raw milk from a farm 90 miles away and hauling it back to the Twin Cities for distribution. Since Minnesota law allows for raw milk sales only on the farm, Charlene has offered to have her garage serve as a legal drop point for the milk. The fascist Minnesota Department of Agriculture confiscated Charlene's computer equipment from her farm during a raid and discovered who the drop site hosts were. They sent her warning letters this past April demanding she cease hosting drop sites for raw milk or face criminal prosecution. Charlene believes this is an infringement of the right to consume the foods free people choose to consume. Charlene Chan-Muehlbauer, welcome to the Global Freedom Report. I'm glad you made it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, absolutely. As I understand it, you are one of a number of people involved in a farm cooperative, a members club, if you will, to obtain raw milk. And you've agreed to distribute the raw milk to the co-op members at your home. Is that accurate?
I would say that my role is much more passive. I simply allow the farmer to drop his milk products in my garage, and then other people go and pick them up. So I don't really I'm not actually actively distributing. I'm just allowing them to use my garage, and I'm not stopping them from doing that. Does that make sense?
Okay. Now,
yeah.
That's fair. Now, the government is essentially trying to stop you from doing this, correct?
That's right. There is a strong push by the government to stop the distribution of raw milk and raw milk sales. We do have a law in Minnesota that allows us, as you said, to purchase the milk on the farm. However, our farmer, lives 4 hours round trip from the cities. And so that would mean, dozens of families making a 4-hour round trip drive in order to get their milk. And we think that that's not very environmentally sound, nor is it safe for them to be driving all the time. And we want to save on the wear and tear on the freeways and all that stuff. And so our farmers have generously agreed to drive the milk to us and drop it off at convenient drop sites, of which one of them is at my house. I'm happy to host. So, and the Department of Agriculture has been harassing our farmers, taking them to court, and trying to make them stop the sale of raw milk.
Okay. Now, how did the government become involved in this? Initially, normally the government doesn't become involved unless somebody files a complaint or something like that. How did the government get involved in this?
There were a number of illnesses. There were 8 cases of stomach problems that people had. Some of them who were consumers of raw milk that the government blamed on the dairy farm. However, they did very extensive testing of the products from the farm. They took over 300 samples of milk and cheese and whatnot, and they did not find a single case of bacterial contamination. Nevertheless, they blamed the farm for the illnesses, even though there were probably, hundreds of people drinking that milk, and there were, 8 illnesses, but nobody else got sick, So I don't know why they insist on blaming the farmers.
Now, are they going after everyone, or are they just going after you?
They are going after the farmers, and then they ramped it up the next level a year or so after they started the court hearings and trials against the farmers, and they started sending letters out to the drop site hosts. So that was this April.
Now, you got something, I take it, in writing from the government.
Yes, I did.
What
I got
exactly
a letter.
did they? Yeah. What exactly did they threaten you with? Fines, imprisonment, or what? And did they cite any actual laws that you are supposedly breaking?
There was like 9 different statutes that they cited, including mislabeling and handling and sales without a license, and it seemed like a real stretch as far as like what they were saying we were selling adulterated food products, and what they did say was, this is a warning letter, you need to stop doing this, and if you don't stop, you can face criminal prosecution.
And
So
what's the criminal? What's the crime?
Apparently violating those statutes that they pulled out of the all the laws that there are in the books.
Okay, now what has been your response to date? Did you get an attorney? Did you send them letters back? Did you ignore them? What's been your response?
It's never a good idea to ignore these types of actions, and I guess whatever the government comes after you with, it's not a good idea to ignore them. What I did do was go and talk to my county sheriff, and I told him that we are making private contracts with our farmers to purchase foods of our choice, and we are privately asking them to be kind enough to deliver the food to us, and that this is not a retail business, and it does not involve retail sales, and so therefore it is not in the state's jurisdiction. And our county sheriff agrees that we have a right to do this, and he said he was quite supportive, and he said, well, just write back to them and tell them that you are not selling food. So that's what I did.
Okay, and then how did they react?
They said, well, thank you for acknowledging our letter, and let us know if you want to have more information about, if you have questions about the sale and distribution of food, and we'll help you meet state regulations. And then I wrote back again, and I said, clearly, we are not in violation of any laws, and we are not selling food, period. And I haven't heard from them since.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Now, let's go back in time. Your daughter, who is now 22,
yes,
at one point was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis several years back, and that must have been devastating to you and certainly to her, especially at such a young age. What role did raw milk play in her recovery, and how has this experience played into your stand in your current situation?
Yes, my daughter was a very healthy child, and she was a very active, 4-season endurance athlete all through high school, and I made it my job as a mother to make sure that my kids were well fed. I bought organic foods for them, and I cooked everything from scratch. So it was a real shock to us when she got to college and started getting aches and pains. And then within a couple of years, those pains got worse, and eventually she was forced to drop out of college because she said it hurt so much it felt like her feet were embedded with razor blades. So she was really not even able to walk down my driveway. She was so sick, and was pretty much bedridden with crippling pain for a good 7-8 months last year. That was about 2011, early part of 2011. And it was a very scary time for us. The prognosis for rheumatoid arthritis is not really good. They use a lot of very strong medications that have a lot of undesirable side effects. and some of them can be fatal. And my daughter did a quick Google search, and she decided she did not want to use any medication to deal with the pain. And so I was left with the task of trying to figure out how to restore her health without any medication. And I found I found the Weston Price Foundation, and I also learned that the Mayo Clinic in Rochester was founded by some doctors, including Dr. J.E. Crew, and he wrote that in the 1920s he had operated a clinic for 16 years in which he used raw milk to cure a whole host of illnesses, including cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, rheumatoid arthritis, stomach, ulcerative colitis type stuff. And he said that raw milk is so effective at curing so many diseases that he thought it would change the face of medicine. And I thought that is a very strong endorsement by a doctor who was, reputable enough to start, the Mayo Foundation, which was the forerunner to the Mayo Clinic. And so we started my daughter on a diet of raw milk. She was drinking about 3 quarts per day. And, that's a huge volume. And so it was really critical for us that my farmer was willing to deliver this milk to us because she was, kind of an invalid at the time, and it would have been very hard on our whole family, and certainly she would not have been able to drive out to the farm herself to pick up the raw milk. So, yes, a lot of my activities...
How old was your daughter?
She was 20 years old at the time.
Isn't that really strange to get rheumatoid arthritis at such a young age?
There's, several types of arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease, or that's what they call it, an autoimmune disease. And it's characterized by joint pain. Many of her joints in her body were really inflamed and in pain so that she, really couldn't move. Osteoarthritis is the more commonly associated with, what happens as you get older. Your joints start getting worn out and things like that. So what she had is considered to be an autoimmune disease. And yes, it is rare, but there's a lot of young people getting some very serious chronic illnesses these days that we know of, including cancer and diabetes and things that should not afflict young people. And, I'm learning from the Weston Price Foundation that the foods that people traditionally ate to keep healthy, included a lot of animal foods with, a raw component to them. And raw milk is one of the healthiest. And we certainly were not drinking any raw milk before. And so now, it took about 10 months.
Now she's fine.
She's really good. I mean, she has a little bit of joint issues still, but she's living a full life. She's back at school full time. She went back to school. This is not a quick cure. It took 10 months to get her out of pain enough that she can go back to school part time. And then by the second semester, she was able to go back full time, and she finished the year without missing a single day of class. And, now she's got some summer jobs, and, she's living her life in a way that's, going to be, set her up for the future. And whereas before she could do nothing but sleep 18 hours a day and watch, TV reruns. So she was really sick for a long time. So we're really happy to see her living.
Your experience with your daughter has given you that much more of a dedication to stand for the rights of people to drink raw milk if that's what they see fit to drink. And I know there are a lot of people all over the country, if not all over the world, who feel similarly. What kind of support have you received from your fellow farmers, your co-op members, freedom lovers inside and outside of your region of the country?
Oh, there's been a lot of support. Immediately after my farmers were raided, this was even before my daughter was diagnosed with RA, the Weston Price Foundation immediately organized a raw milk symposium in Bloomington, Minnesota, to support and to bring, publicity to this issue. And so that's a national organization. There's a Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund that raw milk consumers and producers contribute to get legal support. And then there's raw milk freedom riders, these mothers who have been, kind of transporting, in defiance of these federal laws, transporting milk across state lines and saying, this is something we can do, and just try to stop us. So there's a lot of people are very adamant that that we're not going to allow government officials or bureaucrats to make these decisions for us, what we can eat, and what kind of risk we're willing to take.
Why has raw milk been the target of so much? I mean, there's been a lot on the raw milk issue. Why raw milk?
I wonder if, in my daughter's situation, she was, rheumatoid arthritis is one of those diseases that can be very expensive to treat. Some of the newer biological drugs, they call them the tumor necrosis factor blockers, that are commonly used for a lot of autoimmune diseases, including RA and multiple sclerosis and Crohn's disease. Those infusions can cost $1,000 per each time you take it. And over the year, you could end up spending, tens of thousands of dollars to treat these to treat these illnesses. And so my daughter has not taken any of that. That's a lot of money at stake, Instead of spending $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 or more per year on medications, she is drinking raw milk. That's her food. And, there's a lot of people who are probably upset that they're not getting the profits that they were expecting to get.
That good old profit motive that seems to drive so much. Are you receiving any legal support for your principled stand? Especially since you've officially said, if they want to put me in jail, let them put me in jail. Do you have anybody out there legally who is, watching your back?
Well, there's the Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund, as I said. I am a member of that. And if I get any more legal notices or actions against me, I will definitely consult with them. They are dedicated to helping consumers and farmers to face these, legal attacks. Other than that, I am learning as much as I can about my constitutional rights. Our founding fathers were very adamant about, in their preamble and in the Declaration of Independence and in the Bill of Rights, that American citizens, that each of us has an inalienable right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And that's as we define it, not as some government official or some bureaucrat defines it. And so the more I know what my rights are, the more I am able to defend myself and to stand up for myself. And at this point, it's just a matter of talking to these officials and telling them, no, this is what I'm doing, and it's not against the law, and you can't, stretch the statutes in such a way to say that I am breaking the law. That's not okay. So I'm going to start.
How do people?
I beg your pardon?
Go ahead quickly. No, go ahead.
So that's where I'm
Finish
starting. Just defending, standing up for what my rights are, and to know my rights. Okay. If you don't know your rights, you can't defend them. So.
Okay, we're almost out of time. How do people learn more about your stand, your situation, and follow what's happening with you, and how can they basically stand with you?
There's a number of websites. The main one is the WestonAprice.org. It's WestonAprice.org. They are strong advocates for raw milk and raw milk freedom, and they keep an update of all of these cases around the country.
Excellent. we're out of time. Charlene, I want to thank you so much for your principles and for being with us to help explain it. And people, go over to www.westonaprice.org. God bless you, Charlene.
Thank you. You too.